Welcome to Session 5 of our End Times Guide online course, COVID-19 Crisis, End Times Preparation. This fifth and final session is called Underground Church Networking to Overcome Persecution. The lessons that we learned during this coronavirus crisis now and during more disasters to come will be essential as we approach the end times. To sum up what we've covered, 1, we need to use this waiting time now to deepen our relationships with God, family, and church so that we can come out of this coronavirus crisis strong and stay strong for future disasters. 2, we need to tune out of the enemy's programs of fear and speculation and instead support the move of God being expressed through new online faith-friendly media like Zapit, X-A-P-I-T, as well as older Christian media like Christian Post, and extend this move of God to unbelievers once this crisis is past. 3, as unbelievers face increasing snares and woes in the disasters to come, we must be there to show the difference between God's love and the world's deceptions, and get ready to reap great harvests of souls for Christ. 4, we must make the most of the freedoms we still have to cooperate with other rescue ministries for the sake of the gospel as we face increasing disasters. In Matthew 24, Jesus calls these disasters birth pangs. When the birth pangs end, the end times will begin. But Jesus said the end times won't begin until the gospel of the kingdom is preached to all people groups. The coming disasters will give us plenty of opportunities to reach all people groups with the gospel. Also, Paul said the end times will begin when the Antichrist is revealed. Paul said of the day of the Lord, 2 Thessalonians 2, 3-5, let no one deceive you in any way, for it will not come unless the apostasy comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself above every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his place in the temple of God, displaying himself as being God. The Antichrist is revealed when he takes his seat in the temple of God and declares that he is God. Back in Matthew 24, Jesus called this the abomination of desolation. Verse 15, therefore when you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains. By that time, the freedom of religion that we are already losing now will be completely taken away, and Christians will have to flee. Verse 21, for then there will be a great tribulation such as not occurred since the beginning of the world till now, nor ever will. Now, whether you believe Christians will be raptured before the tribulation or after the tribulation, still there will be Christians during the tribulation. In fact, we see the Antichrist waging war against Christians in Revelation 11, 12, 13, and 14. Pre-trib people say many unbelievers will become Christians when they see the effects of the rapture. The post-trib people say the church will go through the tribulation, which comes from the Antichrist, but the church will be protected from the wrath of God that comes from God when he brings judgments against unbelievers. People from both sides agree that the church will go through the birth pangs of disasters before the Antichrist is revealed. That means our job remains the same. We still have the same great commission of making disciples even in the midst of disasters. If the church goes through the great tribulation, it will be better prepared to overcome because of its experiences in previous disasters. If the church is raptured before the Great Tribulation, it should leave behind instructions and courses on overcoming disasters for the new Christians who will go through the Great Tribulation. Notice that Jesus called it the Great Tribulation. He said to all of us, in the world you will have tribulation, but take courage. I have overcome the world. John 16:33. Already churches around the world are facing more tribulation and persecution than in any time in history. Even in traditionally Christian nations like the U.S., persecution is quickly increasing. We can pray for this brief period of favor that we've recently had from the U.S. government to continue, but in general, nations are becoming more authoritarian and more anti-Christian, preparing the way for the Antichrist himself. And more churches now are having to go underground, most notably in China. The early church had to go underground at times. Read Acts chapter 9 and 12. I'm sorry we don't have time to go through them together now. But suffice it to say that in those times, the disciples had to keep their locations and movements secret. By underground, I mean, of course, off the grid, difficult to reach. Jesus said, flee to the mountains when the Antichrist is revealed, because the mountains of Judea are difficult to reach. There, God will show Christians how to stay secure, off the grid, and open their doors only to trusted people. Isaiah 26:1-2 says, we have a strong city. He sets up walls and ramparts for security. Open the gates that the righteous may enter, the one that remains faithful. Christians in the underground church will also need to communicate with one another, including how to get food and necessary supplies, because since we won't take the mark of the Antichrist, we won't be able to buy or sell. During the coronavirus crisis, more churches are learning to communicate online, but most online media is quite vulnerable to surveillance and censorship. We are going to have to learn media which protect private data and communications. And there are online media like Zapit being developed to do just that. Read Life After Google by George Gilder to learn more. We also have much to learn from current underground churches which are multiplying rapidly and thriving by the grace of God. But much of what we learn, we will have to keep secret among trusted friends. A single betrayal can expose the whole underground church. We'll need to learn to trust God more than ever and trust Him to show us others in whom we can trust. The stakes can't be higher. It sounds like an adventure of a lifetime, maybe the greatest adventure of all time. Expect miracles to happen on the way. That's life with Jesus. Know that He has chosen you for such a time as this. So thank you for taking this course. Now is the time to put it into practice. Strengthen your relationships. Tune into Christian media like Christian Post to follow the move of God now, so you can extend this move to unbelievers. Share God's love with them through Jesus Christ, who can save them from their sins and from the world's snares and woes. Find your place in rescue ministries and begin to reap great harvests of souls. Network with other trusted Christians to overcome the even more difficult times ahead. And remember that Jesus said to take heart, for He has overcome the world. The more you understand and prepare for the coming times, the more people will turn to you for answers. I have 2 more video courses in the works that provide answers from the Bible. One is called More Birth Pangs Coming Before the Great Tribulation. where you can learn of other specific birth pangs that have taken place already, along with the coronavirus, and of more birth pangs that will take place, and of many more signs that must take place before the end times begin, that I didn't have time to speak of in this course. Also, how you can prepare for those birth pangs and signs, making the most of the freedoms we still have. The second course is called God's Judgments Bring About the Rise and Fall of the Antichrist. This course explains the Revelation timeline of the 7 seal judgments, the 7 trumpet judgments, and the 7 bowl judgments, and why the first 4 seal judgments are exactly what are necessary to allow the Antichrist to arise, and how the rest of the judgments are necessary to bring the Antichrist kingdom to a complete end, to clear the way for Jesus Christ to establish his kingdom in all the earth. Glory to God. You can find out more about these courses by emailing me at george@endtimesguide.org. And you can learn more about how these times relate to the end times at our Facebook page, End Times Guide, and at our End Times Guide website at whitehorsewatchman.com. whitehorsewatchman.com. God be with you in every trial to take you through to victory. Thanks again for joining us in completing this course.